Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Doers Digest. Today we're getting into something that's, well, it's probably one of the toughest things any of us ever have to do. We're talking about trying to fix what's been seriously, deeply broken, especially with people we really, truly care about.
And that really is the big question, isn't it? It hits home for just about everyone. When a relationship is just shattered, or when someone's been pushed out, banished, where do you even start? How do you begin to build a bridge across that chasm? Honestly, sometimes it just feels completely impossible.
So let's talk about the challenge of the banished. And we've all been there, right? Either feeling that alienation ourselves or watching someone we love just get cut off. It's totally paralyzing. You desperately want to fix it, but that gap feels a mile wide and the silence is just deafening. It's a heavy, heavy thing to carry. All right, so let's dive into a story of quiet fixing. We're going to pull a really powerful story from the text, and I don't want you to think of this as some dusty old history lesson. Nope, think of it as a masterclass in compassionate strategy. It's basically a case study in how one person brilliantly engineered a way to start healing a really painful divide. So let's set the scene. You've got this general, his name is Joab, and he looks at his king, King David, and he can just see it. The king is completely heartbroken. See, his own son, Absalom, has been banished, kicked out. And even though David is way too proud or maybe just too hurt to do anything about it, Joab can tell his heart is absolutely breaking. He sees that ache, that deep, unspoken longing to fix things.
And this is where it gets really smart. This is Joab's three-part plan. He doesn't just storm in and yell, "Hey, you need to fix this." No way. He comes up with a real plan. First, he perceives the king's pain. He knows exactly what the problem is. Second, he finds a wise woman, the perfect messenger. And third, he puts a story in her mouth. It's this incredibly strategic, indirect approach. The whole goal is to get to the king's heart, not just argue with his head.
And here is the absolute core of her message. The wise woman, she tells David this made-up story, a parable, about her own family. And of course, David responds with all this compassion. And right then, she springs the trap, basically. She connects his personal pain, his situation with his son, to this huge universal truth. The God devises means so that his banished ones are not expelled from him. Wow, what a way to completely shift his perspective.
So what's the result? Well, it's an incomplete reunion. The plan kind of works, but only partway. David agrees to let Absalom come back to the city, but, and this is a huge but, he refuses to actually see him. So the physical distance is gone, but that emotional chasm, it's still there. This half measure, this incomplete fix, it just lets the wound fester. And that quiet, simmering tension, well, it's going to explode into much, much bigger problems down the road.
Okay, so what do we take away from all this? As doers, as fixers, what's the lesson here? Well, this story really unpacks three powerful truths for restoration. This is the wisdom behind the strategy. It's the why behind both Joab's smart plan and, sadly, David's failure to see it all the way through. Okay, truth number one, mercy needs a plan. Seriously, good intentions are great, but they're not enough. Just feeling sorry for someone, it doesn't actually do anything. Real effective mercy is strategic. It has a plan. Think about it. Job didn't just feel bad for the king. He literally engineered a pathway for mercy to break through all that pride and pain. Truth number two is something we all know deep down. Stories change people. This is so, so important. Joab and the wise woman, they didn't come with a PowerPoint presentation or a logical argument. They used a story. Why? Because a good story, a well-chosen parable, can sneak past all our defenses and open up a heart in a way a lecture never, ever will. It lets a person see their own life from a different angle without feeling like they're being attacked. And finally, truth number three, and this is the big warning from the story. Half measures can be dangerous. Think about what David did. He let Absalom come home, but he kept him at arm's length. That partial fix, you could argue it was actually worse than doing nothing at all. It was like putting a small bandage on a deep infected wound. It just created the perfect breeding ground for more resentment and bitterness to grow. All right, let's get down to brass tacks. How do we actually use this? Time for your practical coaching moves. This is the playbook for the quiet fixer. It's a toolkit you can pull from no matter what your role is in a conflict. Whether you're trying to mediate, you're the one reaching out, or maybe you're the one who's been hurt.
So here are some quick coaching moves. First, if you're mediating, if you're the Joab, start with a story, not with pointing fingers. Second, if you want someone back in your life, you have to design a safe first step. Don't ask for the whole relationship back at once. And third, if you're the one who's been hurt, please learn from David's mistake. Just being in the same zip code is not reconciliation. You need to insist on clear steps toward real repair, not just proximity.
Okay, so this all sounds good in theory, right? But what does it actually look like in our messy, complicated lives? Let's see this in action. Okay, 3 quick examples. A family rift, instead of forcing a big, awkward holiday dinner, maybe you just share a happy memory, just a picture or a story, and then ask, hey, what's one small thing we could do to get back to that? See? Small step. Or how about a work betrayal? Trust isn't rebuilt by just pretending it didn't happen. It's rebuilt with a small probationary project, a chance to prove things can be different. And with a friend who left, you don't start with a big dramatic confrontation. You start with a quiet, gentle letter. It's all about those small, planned, strategic steps.
All right, let's talk about the courage of a fixer, because I know this stuff is not easy. It is hard work, and it takes a special kind of strength. So I really want to give you a little pep talk, something you need to hear, especially if you're one of those quiet fixers out there.
And I really want you to hear this. You don't have to be dramatic to be courageous. Sometimes the bravest people are the quiet fixers. Let that sink in for a second. Your thoughtful, patient, behind-the-scenes work, that is an act of incredible courage. It doesn't need a spotlight. The real bravery is in the quiet planning, the patience, and just being willing to step into that uncomfortable tension because you believe in healing.
So think of it this way. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to build a bridge where other people only see an abyss. This isn't just a heavy burden. It's a powerful mission. You're the one who can see a way forward when everyone else has thrown in the towel. You're a bridge builder, and that is such essential, important work in this world. And remember, you are not doing this alone. Let this central truth from the text be the fuel in your tank. God does not want the banished to remain an outcast. He devises means to bring people back. Let that hope shape the way you plan mercy. When you are strategically planning how to bring people back together, you're tapping into the very heart of how the universe is supposed to work.
So let's just end with a simple 2-line prayer for the doer, for all of us who feel that call to be fixers in a world that feels pretty broken.
Lord, give me wisdom to craft mercy that heals, and courage to speak what brings restoration. Help me repair boldly, act kindly, and lead with a heart ready to reconcile.